What was the experience when you first brought this home?
Man, go back to those powerful three.
What were two of the biggest projects you did in this house day one after owning it?
Everyone buys a house for at least three reasons, right?
Kyle, my man.
Yep.
First off, congratulations to you, bro.
Appreciate
From
you.
now, from before, here we are, right?
Sure.
Right in front of this home that you started a journey with, what, 2 or 3 years ago now?
3 years ago, right?
3 years ago.
3 years
Damn.
ago.
And this was your first property here in this country that you purchased, right?
First one.
What made you buy this house?
Everyone buys a house for at least three reasons, right? One, they're either growing and they need to, spread out a little bit more. Two, they're looking for the, resource or at least the equity that comes with a house. And three, just somewhere that it can be stable and not have to be jumping from apartment to apartment or place to place and wondering if the rent's going to go up and down. Just having that stability.
Yeah. And how did you know? Because those are great 3 points. Now, how did you know it was your time?
It was my time. Yeah, we rolled out of COVID and the market kept going up, and everyone kind of goes by, oh well, it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. It just keeps going back and forth. And I think what you should look at is it your market? It's not a matter of if it's a buyer's market, a seller's market. Don't look at everybody else. It's no different than a promotion or something else that happens in your life. It's a matter of, is it your time? So that's when you're supposed to go after it. And that was my time. I just knew I needed to get after it.
Wow. Okay. And you got a phenomenal first house, right? You brought it, you immediately did a bunch of updates that probably most would have put off. What were two of the biggest projects you did in this house day one after owning it?
Basement and the yard.
The basement and the yard. What were those things you had to do to the basement and the yard?
Basement, we waterproofed it. I mean, you got to work on your foundation. Even though you got to work on those legs, you got to work. So you work on your foundation first, make sure it's waterproofing. Make sure that you're not going to have any issues coming up structurally. And also that keeps away bugs. It keeps away critters. If you seal off things pretty quick, a lot of issues that people deal with from day one, and they just becomes a nagging problem. If you do that from the rip where you don't have a lot of stuff in there, then you can be more comfortable. The yard did it just because same thing. I just want to have to be able to step out of my deck, or look out the window and be able to see everything I see and know that, everything's good, and everything else could fall into place after that.
What did the yard look like before? It was this big open football field that we sit in front of.
Yeah, it looked a little bit like freaking Fern Gully. It's definitely a jungle. So having a good landscaper and then having some time to say get it done now and not waiting.
Yeah.
To make it become a bigger beast than what it was then.
What was the experience when you first brought this home?
Man, go back to those powerful three. Happiness, anxiety, and a little bit of look forward. What is going to happen next? It could be, and you got to stay positive. You can't make yourself go into that mindset of what's going to break next. But just in general, what's going to happen next, and understanding that it could be something that you need to fix. It could be something that may work well, or be like, oh, well, this actually is more convenient than what I thought it would have been. But the happiness factor being in after you've closed up on your house and you've gone through your underwriting and house searching, and then you look
the emotional dreading process.
And then the anxiety kicks in on, how do you restructure your day? What time do you leave your house to get to work now? What do you have to make sure is locked up before you leave your house? Or what do you need to set? What, thermostat levels, little things like that. Starts kicking in because it's new. You got to make that become more of a second-hand nature, methodical process.
So for someone who's considering taking that leap, right? Not trying to find the perfect time, like you said, right? It's not buyer's market. So forget that noise, right? It's when you're right. How does someone get brave enough to know they need to take action? And what advice would you give once they take action to keep themselves focused? Because the journey's not easy.
The biggest thing for me, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, is the financial aspect of making sure we're set. And it doesn't have to be you have $30,000 inside of the bank account sitting there.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be, 100,000. It just has to be something that you know what you want to put down on a house. And you need to have that account stagnant. I didn't really know that. And so, I have multiple accounts as we kind of ran through. And, it back in my country, you have a wife or a girlfriend, whoever, and you need to make one account that the underwriting when a bank is going to look at. So make sure that's set 6 months in advance. So when time comes, that's for the house and you're not touching it. And that's exactly what the bank is going to look at. And they're not going to be looking at other accounts.
Yeah, no, that's a strong point you bring up, right? Is knowing or proactively now knowing the underwriter needs a clean account to look at. And when it's very involved with a lot of other moving parts, it requires more research, more work, which can prevent, because I feel like if it was a regular person who wasn't prepared for the journey, they would have quit on it.
Right.
Right. Your journey with the things that was required, the documents, the running around, the 3 or 4 times the same document, most would have said, you know what, it's not for me.
Right.
And you didn't. So I think that's some really strong advice to give to somebody.
Making sure 6 months before you go and look at a house. Don't wait until you start saying, "Oh, the market's good," and I mean, set up the account now. Let's look at an account. 6 months prior. You and your lady, or you and whoever. If you're gonna be buying house together, if it's just by you, make sure you find that clean account. If it's one name, understand that that's one name on the account. Don't have different funds going to that account from different people and all that stuff. All that stuff the underwriter looked at, and I didn't know that was a thing. You think that's second nature, especially when you have family, tied into an account, and maybe they're sending you money, or you're sending them money, or you're moving money to a different account, and then we start asking more. So I have one single account that has absolutely nothing else other than money that went in and money just staying there for your home in the future.
I must say that I wasn't looking for that, but that's such a strong point that I don't think is emphasized or communicated.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you wouldn't have had that experience to be prepared for your own journey of wealth that you'll be building, but also to be able to give that advice to others, because that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
People do manage their account however they see fit for them.
Right.
But if you're not thinking long term about how do you got to set yourself up for whoever is going to need to look at something to support you getting what you want to get.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really, really good point. So you've owned this now for 3 years, right? How have you used this property in the 3 years?
I've used this property 3 different ways. Everything is in threes, it seems. I've used it for my own home, to be here, rest my head, and be comfortable and safe. I've used it for a rental property, to make it home for someone else. If they loved it, they miss it, they love the yard, they will get their dog out here, they go have friends, they want to have a cookout. We still got a little bird mark in the lawn. But by the end of the day, that was a great time. And now I'm using it for a moving forward to move into my next chapter of home owning in a bigger environment.
So it served as your first experience of safety and home for your kingdom you've been building. It served as an income generator, right? Based on the adjustments and changes in your life. And now it's serving as the exchange of value that's going to help you take off to a whole nother level on your next chapter.
That's right.
Wow. So 3 different ways that you just used this property in a matter of 3 years. That is.
We don't even talk. I mean, everyone will look at everything at face value.
Yep.
The first thing they think about is equity. That's the only thing they think about. But with equity, of course, you can do anything, but you still have all the experience.
Yep.
And I feel what's more valuable to me right now is all the learned experiences that I had from owning this home and having experience with it, building some things on my own, knowing where my limit is as far as, should I fix this? Do I pay someone else to do this? That's going to help me in my next house, right? Do I need to go pay someone to come fix a door, or can I hang that door myself? That saved a lot of money for me. Do I need to have someone do the lawn, or could I just buy my ride-on lawnmower? Is that effective? Is that time consuming? So a lot of that stuff becomes helpful for someone when they're buying a house. I think should be what they can really handle on their own, and a lot of that stuff you can handle on that becomes actual negative money coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So you got to pay someone because you either don't have time, or you're not willing, or you just don't know how to do it. So, and I don't want to be in any of those 3 categories.
Experience. that in itself is a whole nother topic. And I agree. You're definitely, your decision 3 years ago is going to put you in a position financially to really do some great things in your next chapter. Like, it really is. But the experience puts what you're going to make to shame, because you're going to protect and not leak out as fast. Right. You're going to be able to make certain decisions that's going to help take you to a whole level faster because of everything that this house gave you. Right. And that experience, I promise you, is so valuable and so it's overlooked significantly. So I love that you brought that up, and I love that you've got that out of this experience. You know what I mean? I can even thinking about home inspections, because you've been through buying and now you've been through selling. You're going to be doing so much more due diligence than you knew to do prior, right? And it's going to serve the next level up. The limited loss that you may experience because you're going to be able to check proactively. You're going to be able to make certain moves. How are you feeling now, knowing that you are going to say goodbye to this home in a couple of days? Right?
Stick with the 3, man. It will never go away. You're always going to have the happiness. You're always going to have the anxiety.
Yep.
And you always got to look forward. What's next?
Yep.
Even though it hasn't happened yet where we jumped into the next house yet, because we're going to close up, like we said, Friday, it's still going to be those 3 for me. It's going to be, I'm happy. It's going to serve somebody else very well, just as it did for me. They'll just have a little less work.
Thanks to you. Happiness, anxious, anxiety, right? And the forward motion of what the next journey is going to be able to bring. That's phenomenal, man. Well, you deserved it. I genuinely am thankful that you've trusted me on this journey. The first time when I didn't know you, and then the second time after you did know me and experience me. And honestly, it's been phenomenal.
I had gone through 2 realtors in North Shore looking for homes in a turmoil market. It's always a turmoil market.
Yep.
I would like to say, in a polite way, older school realtor. Maybe he wasn't, brought into the new school of needing to be able to resource further as far as technology goes.
Yeah.
I think he'd be more of his friend, and having more of that vision in order to understand what's a property really worth, other than what's the rest of the market doing. Let me put that person in the same.
Yep. Same bucket, same bracket. Yeah.
That's not what it is. So treating each person like an individual, that's what we brought to the table. Making sure that, your open line of communication was there. That's what you brought to that table. That stuff didn't happen. I just became another ticket in the bucket. I'll get to you, but I'm closing up on this other person. And when I'm done with you, then I'll come to you.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm number one. I don't want to be in the middle list and the bottom list whenever I need to have a question, especially if I'm anxious. And I'm not the anxious person, so if someone is anxious, we can't help that. That's on them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't help a good buying system, for someone, especially if they're new home buyer. So you brought a lot of things to the table. And with the closing of the house, was able to help me understand what that process looked like for you as well, because you have your own process.
Yeah.
You have your own hurdles that you have to cross through, and intermingling with other people. So I appreciate you, and I know what you do. So it's not gone.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, man. A couple of days. We're going to say goodbye, man. But congratulations to you. Honestly, I hope the Heavenly Father continues to bless your mind. You're surrounding the people who have access to you. You really are a great human. You are a great leader. You don't even try to be, but you really are. And I really do hope your words, the things you shared today, is going to awaken or give someone else courage and confidence to go out, take a leap, to protect themselves, to not be afraid of pushing themselves forward with some unknowns. And also even moving with respect to their journey by choosing the right partner, whoever that may be, making sure that they got their best interest in line, not their own. You know what I mean? So congrats to you, brother. Let the journey continue.
Thank you.